Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivemy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of superhero television or film. And this week on the podcast, we are talking about Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter, you can see it now?
Question mark?
You can?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you personally can.
I don't know.
But
yeah, I don't want to
the world at large.
presume our listeners' lifestyle or abilities at the moment.
I don't like to presume.
Yes.
But the streaming services now have it.
We believe so. Still question mark. This movie is weird. So we're going to do a spoiler-free review since it is a new movie. We're going to do a spoiler-free review before we get into the full episode where we do spoilers. So if you're on the fence about seeing it, we're going to give you a spoiler-free review. Then once you hear the theme song, after that, there will be spoilers. But before we even talk about like the movie's content at all, this has been such a weird... This has been in our calendar to do as an episode of the podcast for a while because they announced a release date for it, which
was
they
December.
do with movies, which was later than December.
Well, no, like it came out in December though.
Yes.
That was when it was in theaters.
But that was when they bumped it up. So like originally I think we had it in our calendar for whenever it was originally scheduled for this year.
Right, sorry.
Then, because they're bananas, they're like, we're releasing it in December because let's make it earlier despite the pandemic, and let's compete with Wonder Woman, the only other movie other than Tenet that's been released during a pandemic.
So you know if people are just clamoring for female-led action movies, and they got the choice of Wonder Woman or Monster Hunter.
Or Monster Hunter that one week, so they forced it into the same slot for some reason, so they bumped it up earlier. And when it was released, the promotional stuff and press junket stuff, it all said it will be released the December, I think 18th or something like that, in theaters, and a week later as video on demand.
Mm-hmm. I kind of remember that, yeah.
That was their promotion. They were like, a week after its theatrical release, you can get it at home. And then they just didn't. I don't know what the fuck happened here. Like, we were for like 2 months being like, what is going on with the film Monster Hunter?
Well, I mean, you're skipping over the slight controversy because it was pulled from Chinese theaters for the scene that they found controversial. We didn't see the scene, so we can't really comment on it because it's been cut from the film, which might be another reason that it was
delayed,
because we didn't
maybe?
see it in our version. So another reason it might have been delayed on video on demand, although it's pretty easy to cut a scene.
Yeah.
It doesn't take all that long unless it was really vital and they had to work around it.
Like
a load-bearing scene.
Studios will literally do that the day of release with no disruption in its distribution.
But what was so funny about this movie that we've never seen before, we wanted to cover it, so we were waiting for it to come out on streaming. And all the streaming services would say, available for pre-order with no date of release for like 2 months.
For 2 months.
You could pay for it and have no idea when it was coming.
No one knew when this was. It's so weird that it was like in theaters and then video on demand next week. And next week came around and we're like, okay, we're going to cover it on the podcast. Where is it? And the internet was like, oh, fuck, we don't know. We do not. Yeah. We lost it.
We've meant to have this on the podcast for like 3 months now.
They just lost Monster Hunter for 2 months.
We tried so hard to give this movie money and promotion. We were like, we want to help you, Mila Jovovich. Yeah. When is this coming out?
We want to cover new movies. And also, I'm like, I think Mila Jovovich and Paul W.S. Anderson kind of slap sometimes. Like, I'm into this.
They rock as a Hollywood power couple.
Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't figure out when this movie was coming out.
And it finally had a date one day. We just had to and we didn't see any news stories about it, no tweets. We just refreshed Amazon and they were like, there's a date on the pre-order now.
We refreshed it like every day for 2 months. And then eventually it was like, oh, yeah. Monster Hunter. Like, it was just the wildest thing.
Oh, yeah. We forgot about the only movie that came out in the last 3 months.
Yeah, like it was like a physical store being like, I think I might have that in the back, actually.
It's a new release.
What is going on?
What happened with Monster Hunter?
So it's been an interesting ride for Monster Hunter, but we're finally covering it on the podcast. Before we get into the spoiler section, let's do a spoiler-free review. Diana, did you like it?
I really liked it. I might give this movie a love. I thought this was delightful. Mila Jovovich slaps. She's so good in this. This might be the first time that I've seen Mila Jovovich play a real person. Because like Ultraviolet, Resident Evil, Fifth Element, like they're like weird kind of too big people. They're like exaggerated personas.
Yeah, they're concepts more than they are human beings or characters.
But this is just a person, and she's delightful, and she's so good. And I love that the movie just gets into it. The action is phenomenal. Her relationship with Tony Jaa is just, they're both so good. I had a great time watching this movie, which makes the first part about how you can't see it and it did really bad marketing so upsetting because it's so super fun. Loved it. Andrew, what did you like? Did you like it?
I think it kind of slaps. Yeah, I'm on board for this movie. It is fun as hell. Like, there are times where I actually think this might be Paul W.S. Anderson's best movie.
I kind of think so as well, because I like a lot of the Resident Evils, but they all kind of meld together, and I feel like this really sticks out for me.
And it's weird that the Resident Evil movies meld together, because many of them are wildly different. But like bananas in their own way. But I think in most regards, this is his best filmmaking. Like Event Horizon is really scary. That's him.
Oh, never mind. That's his best.
And Mortal Kombat is like a fun slapper. But this might be like his best filmmaking in just, it's fun. It flows. Like if you've ever liked a Paul W.S. Anderson like video game movie, you will like this movie, I think. It is fun. It has charisma. Yeah, Mila Jovovich and Tony Jaa have really fun, playful charisma with one another that I'm 100% here for. It's wildly charming. It's also kind of like a quiet movie for the most part in a good way. Like I would say that if you're a watcher of The Mandalorian and any of those episodes have appealed to you, like the Monster of the Week episodes of The Mandalorian, it's the same concept. There is a thing. How do we stop the thing? Let's stop the thing. It's fun.
It's really fun. The monsters look great. They're really fun. And I will say what I really like about this movie, which is spoiler free, which is fun for me, is I feel like when people like monster movies that are about like Godzilla-like monsters, I never really get it. Because they're like Godzilla and Mothra and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, they're monsters. Sure, they're big monsters. But what I liked about this one was it wasn't so much about the monsters, but it was how do you kill each monster? Yeah. And it has to be creative and it has to be cool. And that's what I really liked about it. It made me care about each individual monster because I'm like, we need different tactics for this monster and it's not going to work the same. I thought that was wonderful. I had a great time watching this film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one disclaimer that I would add to that is that neither of us are particularly fans of the video game franchise. I don't say that in the sense that we dislike the video game. Diana's not a gamer. I am a gamer, and I've played a little bit of Monster Hunter. I've watched some Twitch streams of Monster Hunter. I don't dislike it. It's just not for me. But I would say that if you're a fan of the video game series, there is little to no consistent canon between the two. I know enough about the video game to be like, this is in name alone, in the fact that they hunt a monster and some costume and character design, it carries over what, from what I understand, is a loose canon of the video game, and a video game that's already not a story-driven video game, so kind of who cares? But maybe if you're a diehard fan of the video game and you know stuff about the lore that isn't surface-level apparent from the little bit of the video game I've watched on Twitch or whatever, you're probably going to get disappointed because I think this movie could legally be called anything else and doesn't even need to be based on the existing IP of that video game franchise.
Yeah, it could be called like Monster World, Stuck with Monsters.
Yeah.
Me in the Middle with Monsters.
Yeah, it could be called like Stop the Big Thing.
Those are great titles. We're really crushing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's Pitch Black, Tremors. Like if this is a Monster Hunter movie, Tremors is a monster movie. Pitch Black is a Monster Hunter movie. Like it is so loosely on that concept. So maybe if you're a big video game fan, we're not going to have a lot of comparisons for you, but I get the impression it doesn't really care.
We're going to review the movie. Andrew, you said it great.
And can it be spoiled?
Maybe. Only in the way that, like, large ensemble and there things happen to people.
Right.
So, like, maybe some characters will get spoiled for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that anything that can be spoiled, I would have the impression that it is not plot central, but it was surprising.
Yes. Yes.
There were a few things about
sense.
this movie in terms of its tone and execution that surprised me, and I like that I did not expect that and was surprised by it, even though it wasn't plot relevant. So I don't think we can spoil the plot for you, but I think we can spoil some tonal surprises about the movie.
I will agree, and I appreciate your vagueness for the spoiler-free section.
Yeah.
And I agree. I agree entirely.
But I think we both recommend, if anyone's on the fence, go check it out.
If you can fucking find it, watch it.
Get on board.
It's real fun.
Get on board. And before we get into the full spoiler-filled section of the episode, we want to thank our first wonderful sponsor of this week's podcast. It is tpublic.com.
It's tpublic.com. They're making t-shirts for your body.
Mm-hmm.
They're making tank tops for your body. They're making hoodies for your body. And you know what? They don't even need to be for your body. Hang them on your wall if you want. Put them in a drawer and just look at them.
Give them to a friend or family member.
They're real nice.
Give them away.
Give them away. Wonderful
gifts
at tpublic.com. And what makes them so wonderful, it is designs by indie artists getting a fair commission for their work. So you're going to pay an indie artist and you're going to be like, also, this is one of the dopest designs I've ever seen. I feel really good about myself. Enjoy your gift.
Lovely. And because it's by an independent artist, it's unique, it's custom. And not only do you support the independent artist, you also support this podcast when you shop through our store link. And there's cool independent designs. Like one that I like this week on the subject of monsters is a shirt called Torn Between Two Beasts. And it is the guy looking over his shoulder meme, but it is
With
Beauty
the girlfriend.
With the girlfriend, but it is Beauty and the Beast. So it is Bella. Is it Bella?
Just Belle.
Belle, sorry. I don't know Beauty and the Beast that well. But
I noticed.
It is Belle with the Beast, but she is looking over at X-Men's Beast, Hank McCoy, walking away because he's a
beast.
snack.
And also, they're both pretty delicious beasts.
Let's be real, though. You go with Hank McCoy before you go with Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
I mean, Beast from Beauty and the Beast becomes a much nicer person by the end of the movie.
Yeah, but that's... Yeah, a fixer-upper is fine, but Hank McCoy, that man's a snack from the get.
I don't know. He's a little boring.
He's smart. He's
smart,
kind. He's strong. What don't you want?
I would love to be Beast's friend. I don't think, entertainment-wise, we'd be a match.
I think he's a match with Belle. I'll tell you that.
Oh, a match with Belle. Oh,
yeah.
He loves books. She loves books.
They're fucking reading all day long.
With Belle, he's a wonderful match. For me, which is what you brought up.
Right.
I don't think he's as good as you. So this is the problem.
All right, so that meme wouldn't work, but this one works.
It work.
This one works. Belle's having a look. So I like this. It's the looking at someone else while you're with your significant other meme format, but it is Beauty and the Beast and then Beast from the X-Men. It's a really clever design. I like it a lot.
It's really fun. I actually chose a shirt that's not from anything. I just chose a cute design by an indie artist, which I don't think I've ever done before.
Tell me more.
It's a Kraken, and he's peeking out of the water, and he says, "I hug ships too hard."
Oh, Kraken, you do.
He's just trying to give it an old hug.
Oh, the old college try
And
from
then
the
he
Kraken.
cracks him because he's the Kraken.
Classic. Absolutely classic.
Absolutely. Poor guy. And also the poor ships.
Yes, also a lot of...
Oopsie doodle.
Oops. So if you like either of those designs or any of the ones we've mentioned on the podcast, or if you just want to search around the site for something that you're into, go to our storefront, which is at tpublic.fromsuperheroes.com. That's T-E-E, public.fromsuperheroes.com. And when you shop through that store link, you support the independent artist who designed the art, and you also support this show as well when you buy any of the ones in our store, or even when you search around and find something that's not in our store, as long as you went through that link. So tpublic.fromsuperheroes.com. And thank you, TeePublic, for your support.
Thank you so much, TeePublic.
And now let's get into the episode. Let's talk about, with spoilers, Monster Hunter.
Spoily, spoily, spoily. Here they come.
All right, so we have seen Monster Hunter. Spoiler section, here we go. The first thing that I want to say, I think we both have the same note for this one. Right off the top with this movie, the quote is, this movie starts with a quote, as some movies do. Black screen, white font, quotation marks, and a quote come up.
I have to say, this movie starts off And I got a bad vibe right off the top with this quote.
Oh, real stinky fart smell right away for this movie.
I was like, oh, I have to prepare for a bad thing. And you've heard our spoiler-free review. You know we loved this movie. So this opening was a choice. I have the quote, if you would like to hear it.
Oh, please, lay on me the full quote.
Quotation mark. It is entirely possible that behind the perception of our senses, new worlds are hidden of which we are totally unaware. End quotation mark. I'm done.
That quote is not attributed to anyone. And we were screaming.
I can't emphasize the quotation marks enough, you guys.
And you know when you watch a movie and the quote comes up and like it all slowly fades in. So we're waiting for the after the quotation for it to cite who said this.
Who will this be? Who has said this wonderful piece of knowledge about other worlds?
And would it be like a real world poet? Like would it be like and that's to quote Ozymandias or like is it going to be something from the real world or will it be like a thing from the video game or a character in this movie? Will it be like Artemis, Army Ranger or like someone who's in the fight? It just doesn't attribute it to anyone, which is not how quotes work.
Not how quotes work. That means this movie either put a quote in and forgot to put who the quote was by, or they put a quote in and chose to take out who the quote was by, or the entire film doesn't know how quotation marks work and didn't mean to make it a quote, which is not how you want to start your movie.
The quotation is from itself, the film Monster Hunter.
We are quoting the film Monster Hunter.
Which is, we're watching Monster Hunter. Fucking everything is from the movie. If that honestly would be hilarious if it was like Monster Hunter 2020. Like, it just quoted its own ass self, director Paul W.S. Anderson. Like,
just describing it in an interview?
Full on.
Let me pitch you on Monster Hunter, the movie.
That would be a delight.
It wouldn't fit the tone of this film, but I love that as an opening quote on a comedy movie or something. I would love to see that.
Fuck, that would be good. But no, it's just a quote attributed to no one. It is just said by the movie at nothing. Like, but that is a level of weird confidence that I want. Like, I want to go into, like, parties or a bar when the world opens again and just be like, I would like everyone to know, and I quote, my first drink is on the house. End quote.
Who are you quoting?
Me. Like,
just now.
The wild confidence to just quote yourself in the moment.
It's almost like you're speaking as if you are a character and your dialogue is being written in a book, because then it is in quotes.
Maybe?
And it is in quotes. What I did like, though, and by like, I mean, I'm making fun of, what you said about you, like, it fades in and then you wait for the quote name to fade in, like Plato or whoever says it.
Sure.
And the thing is, it does fade out on the words "our world" because then it shifts to the desert. It's like, this is our world. This is where we are.
No, it fades out to New World because our opening scene is in the Monster Hunter world.
Oh yes, it does. So they know they spent some work on the fade in and the fade out, and they definitely thought about this quote of no one. I hope they won't be making a sequel to this movie because it made zero money. But if they were to have made a Monster Hunter 2, I would hope it opened with the same quote. And then, like, the villain of 2 is the guy who said it. And they're like, we were hiding it.
Okay. Yeah. It is whoever, not to jump around too much, but whoever is in the cloak in the tower looking at them at the end.
Yeah, that's who I presume is the villain of those two. Of the two, the second movie that will never exist.
Interesting.
So, but then, this movie fucking rules.
It rips. It rips. It is so much fun. It starts in the Monster Hunter world on a crazy boat going through the sand. And as someone who hasn't really played the game, I will say that I've played the game in as much as I've played it for like, I played Monster Hunter World, the PS4 one, for like 2 days. So I did not get that deep.
Is this the game where I came into the room and I was upset because you're just killing monsters that aren't even attacking you?
Oh, and that's also why I'm not into it as well. It actually feels sad. It makes me sad.
I didn't feel like a lot of accomplishment from that one as I watched you play that game.
But what I did enjoy was when it starts on that boat, I was like, I actually immediately felt like this movie did a terrific job of capturing the aesthetic of that video game while grounding it in a fun way. Like, that ship is the ship. Like, that's the set. These costumes are fucking dead ass the video game costumes without being too, like, cartoony. It does at times feel like it's maybe the best cosplay anyone has done, but it is in that weird uncanny valley of it is straight out of a video game, but a human being made these.
I didn't play the game and didn't know anyone looked like anything. And I will say I thought everyone looked great. I thought they looked like people who existed in a world where you fought monsters. Like, you wouldn't wear those clothes on Earth, but it felt like I was in a separate world, and I did like that everyone was a little bit different to be like different characterizations.
Right.
So yeah, I thought the costumes all look great. Tony Jaa looks incredible.
Oh, absolutely. This whole movie. He looks cool as hell.
His outfit looks cool. He just looks cool.
He's Tony Jaa.
Dope as hell. Yeah, the costumes were great.
Now, I know you were probably saving this for a bit later, but what I did feel off the top with this introduction, they introduced the boat and this cast of characters as Tony Jaa falls off and is a man overboard left behind to survive.
It's a desert,
in the
he's not gonna
seas
drown.
of the desert. So Tony Jaa is a man overboard, but when they show this boat and this cast of characters, I was like, wow, this movie did such a smart job of really nailing the world from the video game and looking away right before they have to show you the cats that cook. And I was like, and immediately I'm like, mwah, chef kiss to you, Paul W.S. Anderson, for having the restraint to be like, I love the video game, but we need to dial it back just by 2 and avoid showing you Cat Chef. We're not showing you Cat Chef. And I was like, okay, that was the right call for the film.
Because we meet everyone on the boat in the first scene. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, it's Ron Perlman, it's girl with the visor, it's red-haired cute boy. Like, we meet them all. And then they save that cat.
They save that cat
for later.
So later when they do show that cat, I was furious. I was like, are you fucking kidding? You can't show the cat now. It's too late for the cat. But at the same time, it kind of worked because I'm like, you did build up and earn the cat a little bit.
I actually don't think the cat works at all.
Okay.
I will say. I don't even know if he would work early because he's the only CG character in a movie that's oddly grounded for a film about killing monsters.
Yes.
Like, the monsters look real. Like, they don't look like CG creatures. Like, they are incredibly well detailed, incredibly well done. Every time Mila and Tony Jaa fight them, they look real. The weapons seem real. The fights seem real. Like, everything feels so grounded. And, like, their fighting style is real. It's not like an elevated, like, I can jump 20 feet. It's like, no, I need a grappling hook if I want to get up there. Like, everything is so grounded. And then the chef cat showed up, and I was like, nah, you're from a different movie. You're a different movie, Chef Cat.
I did not like it, and they should have not done Chef Cat. But I will say, if the movie had started and shown Chef Cat, I would have kind of mentally clocked out for a while. Mm-hmm. But the movie does get, as much as I agree it is oddly grounded, it does get more excessive as time passes. Like, we do go on the journey of an Earth character brought into this world where, and Tony Jaa is, when he's abandoned, is someone from this world, but he is a guy with a bow and arrow. Mm-hmm. But then slowly we're introducing new dynamics of this world. We're introducing glowing power swords. Then we're introducing, like, you know, more of the boat that floats on the sand and the tower that has lightning. And it slowly really kind of eases you into the waters of a ridiculous fantasy universe. And, like, Ron Perlman has, like, a big beef sword that he does fly through the air and land, and flame walls shoot out of it. And then they're like, by the way, a cat cooks. The cat cooking is still an escalation, but they did get us there slowly, step by step.
You're selling me a bit. What if I throw this at you? He's a cat who cooks, and he's still there. But I think I don't like the CG of him, and that he's fully CG and he's very softly CG. He doesn't look real. What if we did like the movie Cats kind of Cat Chef? And
Hate it. Worse.
And it
Worse.
was a human.
No, worse.
And his hands won't be CG'd. They'll forget to do that. And like he will be a human with just like a little bit of CG around his face.
Worse.
Like the movie Cats.
Horrifying.
I think more things
This is now
should be
scarier
like the movie
than
Cats.
Paul W.S. Anderson's Event Horizon.
He would look real though.
That's what's upsetting. That's
Yes.
what's upsetting. No cats.
Well,
No
then,
cats.
I guess we have no cats then.
No cats. But I agree with you. Even though I think they eased into the waters, I still think it's dumb and weird that they had the cat.
I thought the sand ship was so cool.
It is cool.
They never explain how it works, and I'm totally cool with that because they've established there's magic in this world.
Yeah, fuck it works.
But yeah, just watching a ship like just fly through sand like that, I'm like, yeah, this might be windy enough for that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, really great designs in this film.
Really great design. I like how fast-paced this movie is. This movie does not fuck around.
This movie doesn't give a shit about the lore of how any of it works, and I feel weird that I respect that so hard.
Yeah.
This movie is like, they're just driving through the desert and they're like, these stones are weird, right? And she's like, I'm not an archaeologist. And a portal opens and they're on a different world. And I'm like, love it. Absolutely love it. She didn't know what it was. Just a random portal. It happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes you fall. Storms hit.
Done. You're in a portal now. I love it. I love how quick it hits.
I love how quick it is. I love that we never explore the lore of it. It's just like, maybe you can jump through it again. I don't know. We don't know how it works.
They're like, let's loosely try some stuff because we don't really know and we're all kind of lost. Like how quickly they parallel that to be like, we get the boat, we get the fantasy world, Tony Jaa falls overboard. Now that we know we have someone who is lost. We cut to Earth people who don't know what's going on, they go through the storm thing, they get lost. There is no, like, I feel like a lesser movie would give us a 30-minute preamble, because that's the inciting incident, and it happens at, like, minute 7, and it's usually at minute, like, 35 in your average movie. But your average movie, I think, would give us a, like, the government has seen these electrical storms. We hint at the first team that went missing. There's a military person who wants to harness it for a weapon. Now let's send in the team to look for it.
There's a crazy conspiracy theorist who says it goes to a different planet. Like, yeah, it would be 30 minutes of that. I mean, we just watched Fifth Element, which is like Luke Perry in a pyramid for like 10 minutes finding out what the fifth element is.
Yeah.
Like, not that that's a lesser movie, it's quite a good movie. But like other movies really get into like, this is why this is happening. And this movie is like, we know you're here to see monsters.
Yeah.
We know you want to see Mila Jovovich fight a monster, and none of us care how she gets there.
And in fact, it works way better as a motivator for this film because she's the POV character. Like, we're experiencing this through her. And if she's lost and confused, we should be a little lost and confused. Not that it's a big mystery or anything, because it is just kind of a fun adventure we're going on. But if she doesn't know, we shouldn't know. And it's as simple as that.
It really did give this movie a feeling of like, as much as it's a very simple movie about fighting monsters, I'm like, I don't know where this movie's going in a good way. Like, because most movies like this, you're like, I mean, just because I just mentioned it, like, she's the fifth element. We have to shoot her into the sky to fight evil. I'm like, okay, that's the plot of that movie. But then I'm watching this, and she doesn't have any information about why she got sucked there or what the portals are. And I'm like, I really don't know what her next move is. Yeah. And I feel like the desperation of this character because I don't know what she should be doing. Which leads to my other, like, huge plus for this movie that I absolutely love, is that I love that no one in this movie is a chosen one.
Yeah.
It's not like Mila or anyone on her team or even Tony Jaa was like, I'm the only one who can defeat the monsters, or you can harness magic better than anyone else, or the portal chose you. It's just like, no, it's a random portal. The other soldiers all died. You happen to be a pretty good soldier. I'm also a pretty good soldier. These weapons are magical. And yeah, there's no prophecy. There's no one person who can defeat a dragon. Anyone can defeat a dragon. It's a really nice everyman story of like, you could survive. You don't have to be like a Jedi or a chosen one or a fifth element. I love this.
And you are rolling the dice, and you still have to work for it and earn it and build weapons and learn at the same time. It is a combination of all of the great monster movies we've enjoyed on this podcast.
Very Predator.
Very Predator, very like Arnold having to make traps and like put stuff together himself and figure out what they're fighting. It's very Pitch Black, literally. In some of the creatures, the spidery ones are allergic to daylight and have these little like volcanic like steam vents that they come out of. It is very Tremors in the sense that they have the underground sandworm, and it's a bunch of characters who don't know or care about the lore of this creature other than the fact that it will kill you and you don't want that. So it's just a lot of, and maybe Alien a little bit too, with this kind of like lone stalking survivor attitude. It is a really fun series of monster movies based on And again, only playing a little bit of the game, the fun creature design of the game.
Yeah, that's a great point about definitely those are all the movies we've like loved the most on this podcast. Is just every man's surviving an impossible task of defeating a monster.
Yeah,
and they're not like special. They haven't trained all their lives to fight monsters or anything.
No, not at all. They've maybe trained or have skills for something, and they're every man, but they're smart enough or they're qualified in some regard, and they still have to work hard and they have to earn it. But one of the common factors is they don't know or give a fuck where these things are, what they're coming from, or what makes them. Yeah, you just want to survive.
It's just competence porn as well. Just watching them be like, I can survive in the desert. I can make weapons. I can fight a monster. I can have a language barrier, but like not in any extreme way that isn't believable.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy to say that these guys single-handedly fight monsters with their bare hands and win. And I'm like, it's so believable.
Absolutely.
It genuinely is, though. They're so smart about it and they're so clever. I adore this.
One thing that I love about this whole opening segment as well, before we kind of narrow it down to Milla Jovovich and Tony Jaa, when we get the military aspect of it.
Again, felt very Predator.
Felt very Predator, yeah. It kind of felt like if Ubisoft made this video game, it felt like that. It felt like this would have been like the Americanized gun shooting video game that Ubisoft would have made if they owned the Monster Hunter franchise. But that's just kind of a cut for the video game people out there.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, I guess.
I didn't get it.
You adding "you're welcome" at the end makes it seem weirdly cocky and uncomfortable.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't get it.
I wasn't that proud of myself for it, but this whole militaristic opening segment, I'm going to say, and I mean this in a positive way, this was the first time in the career of Paul W.S. Anderson, a director we've watched a lot of the damn films for. Not all, but a lot. It's the first time in his career where he felt like Michael Bay, but a restrained, good, like the best characteristics of Michael Bay that are reined in and dialed out in a slow and even keel pace.
Okay.
So a lot of this fighting in the sand, like it does remind me of some of the like Transformers desert fights as well.
Transformers desert fights.
The director, Paul W.S. Anderson, does a phenomenal job of adding scale in a place where there's no scale.
Ooh.
So this is a wildly difficult and small filmmaking thing to do that he absolutely nails, which is the fact that you have small characters in a small vehicle with small weapons fighting a giant monster. And how do you convey that a monster is giant and epic and the scale is large? And you need scale. And for something to have scale, you need to have foreground and background elements. But this is a bland desert. There is nothing. It is sand. And it is so easy for that type of monster movie or fight sequence to have no scale, to look bland and unepic and cheap, and for it to look like it is a B-movie knockoff of a Michael Bay film, for it to look like, oh, am I watching Transmorphers on Amazon Prime? You know, like some kind of a knockoff thing, because without buildings and cars and a bunch of shit moving around, you don't really know how big anything is. But he gets low to the ground. The cameras like capture the foreground of the sand. They get low to the ground and underneath the vehicles. You feel the chaos. We get that kind of Bay-esque spinning shots where the camera is rotating around them. Those vehicle POVs, which Michael Bay is really famous for destroying cameras, because he straps 19 cameras to a car and then actually flips that car 100 times. The inside the camera shot as the car is crashing.
Yeah.
A lot of real Michael Bay filmmaking techniques, but in the right times to add the right elements.
I get what you're saying. Now, I feel like the easiest way to show the scale is when they go to the Tony Jaa POVs, because he's just watching them being attacked from very far away. So you can see the scale of the monster compared to the size of their cars. And they also do a very smart thing, which is when they stop in the bones of the dead monster,
right,
to give a feel of like how big this monster is. And I think you're really right that scale is really hard, that I hadn't thought about before, because talking about Tremors briefly. Tremors is a fantastic movie. I'm going to knock one thing about it. Love Tremors, though. There's a few shots in Tremors which are just like really close-ups of the sandworms.
Right.
And like you don't get it, and it's supposed to look cool and scary, but there's no sense of scale because it's just the face of the worm. And you don't get like a body or a car or anything involved with it. And there's one great shot in Tremors where you see how long it is compared to a ditch.
Yeah.
And like that's when you need the scale. You're like, oh, it's very dangerous. It's very big. So you're right. This movie does a great job of being like, this could look small because there's just a horizon.
Yeah.
There's no trees. There's sand dunes.
Size should be meaningless.
But you can tell that it's very, very, very big.
Yeah. And even just in movement and speed, it is another thing that, to credit Michael Bay again for some of the small things that he does really well, speed and scale are a very difficult thing to capture as well. It's and especially and distance also. Like a jumbo jet is very big and very far away, and you look at it up in the sky and it looks like it's barely moving. Like that feel. You look up at a plane and you're like, I can outrun that.
You look up at a plane, you're like, how are you gonna get anywhere, plane?
Yeah, but it's giant, it's massive, and it's moving incredibly fast. So when you film CGI elements like a monster realistically, it looks weird because that's how big things that move fast from afar look. So you need to flub it and kind of make it a lie to make it look real because you don't want it to look real. The physics are so fucking tricky to do. And this movie just nails it. Just nails it.
It does, yeah. All the monsters looked really good, and also looked really good for such broad daylight monsters.
Yes.
No, like they had shadows for the scorpion, like pitch black guys, because they can't go into the sun, so they could those did look like not worse, but like obviously weren't as detailed. But like the big huge Diablo in the sand, always in dead sunlight, like noon every time you see it, and looks incredible. Oh my God, the amount of CG on this thing must have been insane.
Yeah.
To get lighting right?
Yeah.
So it looks real along with Mila and the team? Oh my God.
And along with like the sand and mirage effects, which are really like kudos to the visual department on this film because they absolutely crush it. If you just want to see some dope ass looking monsters, watch this movie. It looks great. And the dialogue writing is pretty sharp and snappy. Like, the movie continues to be charming and fun as it goes on once we get Mila and Ja together. But obviously, they're not communicating in the same language. So this Army Ranger unit in the beginning of the film is really the only snappy dialogue writing segment. But they do feel like they all know each other and have dynamics and personalities without being over-the-top action tropes of like, I'm the big guy with a Gatling gun. Be like, I'm the little one with knives. Like, without being stereotypes, they do feel like they have personalities and have been on missions before.
I'm almost upset that these people had such good chemistry and good banter and stuff because here's the big spoiler, everyone but Mila dies. And I feel like I was like the audience who saw Psycho for the first time when all of them died. I sincerely was not expecting that because like when it opens and she's got like a whole team and I knew it was a movie about her and Tony Jaa, I'm like, oh, she must be the only one who goes through the portal. I don't know why. I'm naive. I'm an idiot. And then like this wonderful team, like a huge team of characters that I really enjoy and the actors are really good and they have wonderful chemistry. And then they all died within like 30 minutes and it was genuinely shocking.
It really was because I'm with you. I also thought with like the charm and charisma that a lot of these people had, I thought that they were going to be around a lot longer. I also thought because a lot of the trailers and promotional materials featured T.I., rapper T.I., pretty prominently. And not that T.I. is like this big action star, but he is famous for his music career, and he's been in both Ant-Man movies now, so he's a double Marvel guy.
I'm so sorry, T.I. I love you in Ant-Man. That's how I know you from.
He's great.
Think you're so great in those.
And that's totally fine.
True series.
They also have Megan Good, I believe is the actress's name, who I think was one of the she was
one of the Shazams.
One of the Shazams.
It doesn't show up on her IMDb because it was a secret, so they never credit her because they didn't want to reveal the twist, and I think they never fixed it.
But I'm sure that she'll be in the next Shazam. One of the other Army guys was William Stryker from the X-Men prequels. So he played Sergeant Stryker trying to hunt down Wolverine.
Yeah, that is him.
So like good like not necessarily household names, but like named action stars from like big Marvel, DC, Fox action blockbuster movies.
Yeah, you're like, this is a team that can kill monsters. Okay, we're going to do it.
And featured so heavily in the trailers that I'm like, oh, this movie's third star is T.I., is what I thought.
And they do, and like, they're dope too. It's not like Mila's the only one who should survive. She survives by pure luck. They're all equally as good as her. If they'd laid some eggs in Mila, she'd also be dead.
Yeah.
T.I.'s death will haunt me for all of
that
time.
Was very That was some Event Horizon
shit. That was
shit.
Event Horizon shit. That was Paul W.S. Anderson being like, I could sneak one really creepy thing in that will haunt you for your entire life.
Really terrible body horror.
Really terrible body horror, because pretty much most body horrors kill you. Like Alien. When the alien chestburster comes out, you're dead.
Yeah.
But these little spidery guys were coming out of T.I., and he was still fully alive. But now he's covered in spiders, and they're eating his insides from the inside out. And that is, thank God one of them just ate him. Thank God.
Well, like one of the real big ones.
Yes.
Like the mama spider came along and ate him.
Thank God. I was so relieved when he died, because this was so horrifying.
Otherwise, I think he would have been a vessel for the birth of those spiders, and I think he would have survived-ish, like maybe succumbed to his wounds later, but I don't think the birth of the spiders were lethal. I think they were just little tiny baby spiders who ate enough of him to give birth and exist.
It's awful. It's so awful.
Ooh, it is miserable.
And just one last thing about the team. Oh my God. The dude who is in the claws and then drops a grenade belt onto the monster's head.
I think that was the guy who played Stryker. Yeah.
Oh, chef's kiss to that dude.
Oh, that's how you go.
That moment was incredible, to the point where even Mila's character went, oh my God. And she's like a badass Army Ranger. I loved this moment. It was so good.
That felt like a sincere moment. Like that felt like Mila actually being like, "Oh, whoa!" Like they had a practical explosion on set for that one.
It felt like her husband didn't tell her what the scene was going to be, and she was like, "Oh, we dropped the grenades. Oh,
Whoa!
Were those live?
Whoa! Yeah. The only discredit to that character, you aim for the creature's mouth. Like we all know that. You get the grenades in the mouth.
I mean, he'd already been impaled.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at a guy.
He had had a rough day, for sure.
He's having a day, and he's having a minute. This minute?
Went out like a champ, though.
Went out like a champ.
An absolute champion.
Gotta love. I mean, that or you wear it. If you know the thing's going to eat you, you just hold on to it so you can do it from the stomach.
Yeah. You do want to Jonah and the whale it.
The stomach's the best place.
Yeah, Jonah and the whale as a sacrifice play.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm always on MIB, but...
Yeah. A little bit of an MIV vibe for sure.
I'm new school.
You're new school. All right. Well, let's take a quick break in the podcast to thank our second sponsor of today's episode. They are absolutely wonderful. You need to hit them up to liven up your Zoom calls and your digital life in 2021. I'm talking about Virtual Game Night.
They might as well change their name to Virtual Game Delight.
Not bad. Actually, not bad.
Hey,
you know what?
Guys, you can have that.
I was ready to turn on you. I once I soak it up, I really like it. Virtual Game Delight is nice.
Virtual Game Delight Night.
And it is what they are.
It's delightful. Oh my goodness.
Yes. So Virtual Game Night, they're going to bring something new to your virtual gatherings for 2021 and make you actually enjoy and frankly love being on Zoom again. Because I know we're all getting a little fatigued. We're all getting a little tired of digital hangouts. But this is going to help you liven it up. And you don't need to be an experienced gamer to play Virtual Game Night. If you can open a website, if you're capable of having a video call, you are capable of playing Virtual Game Night. This isn't a hardcore gamer thing.
If you're listening to a podcast, you can play Virtual Game Night.
Entirely fair.
If you hear this, you got this. And they have 30, 60, or 90-minute games. And there's something for everyone. This is not just straight-up trivia. They are a bunch of mini-games. So there's going to be a game that you're good at. There's going to be a game maybe you're bad at. But everyone's going to have a fun time because something will talk to your strengths or your interests throughout the night at the Virtual Game Night.
Absolutely. So this is going to be a hangout with you, your friends, your family, your coworkers, whoever. You're all competing with one another to see who can get the most points in this kind of pub trivia-esque, but really more of like a game show style thing. It's like you and all of your friends were invited onto a game show. and it is a blast of a time.
Yeah, there's an emoji decoding game that's very fun. There's a fill in the blanks. There's a memory recall where you watch music videos that I thought I was very good at. I'm pretty sure I nailed that round.
I think you did?
I think I did too. For the record, I nailed memory recall.
All right, and has chosen a voice for it too, so that's interesting.
It makes it more official.
And they have all the infrastructure set up. So if you want to have a fun game night, you don't need to worry about setting up a bunch of stuff. They are set up for anywhere from 2 to 1,000 players. You don't need pen and paper. It's just a website. It's simple technology. They can be customized to your specific group's events and needs or interests. If it's a birthday, if it's a business event or celebration, whatever it is that you have going on, or if you just want to make hanging out with your friends fun and lively by bringing in virtual game night, which is hosted live by comedian Ollie Robinson. He's your very own professional MC. Wonderful and delight.
Wonderful. It is not an automated game that you're all playing at once. Ollie is hosting it. He's walking you through it. He is being charming and delightful and hilarious, and he's making sure everything works perfectly so you will not be left in the clutch. You won't be like, oh no, what do we do? He's got it covered.
Yes. Be the change you want to see in the world. Make a better time.
It will be
this.
The most fun you'll have in quarantine.
We've done 2 of them,
anymore.
and we love them.
This is the most fun we have all the time.
Sincere, legit love them. So you're going to want to check it out. If you want to turn your next virtual gathering into a virtual game night, visit virtualgamenight.live/superhero and book your completely free one-to-one demo and consultation. And when you're ready to book, you can take 20% off the price of any game night package with the promo code superhero20. So join over 6,000 other players who have livened up their Zoom calls by making your next virtual event a virtual game night at virtualgamenight.live/superhero and enter promo code superhero20 to take 20% off the price of any game night package. And thank you, Virtual Game Night, for your support and your wonderful times.
I did wonderful times. Wonderful times.
Wow.
Was that the same voice? No, that was a different voice.
No, what was... Oh, yeah, that was.
I did a second ago?
I don't even remember what you did a second ago, but it wasn't that.
No, I
felt like you were trying to do the, like, in a world where, like, the movie
Yeah, I
voice.
agree. I did it wrong.
Fun, though.
Fun. Thank you.
Fun.
I'm fun.
Speaking of worlds where, let's get back to the world where monsters need to be hunted. Back to Monster Hunter.
Back to Monster Hunter. We absolutely have to talk about Mila and Tony Jaa.
They are so wildly charming together.
I love everything happening here. This, like, first we fight, but then we save each other because monsters are worse, and we have a language barrier, and we're pretty grumpy about it, but we make it work, and I love that they laugh together.
Yeah.
Like, big, hearty laughs. Like, there is so much happening in this relationship, and it's like not, and it's platonic. I feel like Tony Jaa was like with that girl on the ship, maybe. He like tried to save her, but he fell off.
For some reason, I don't know why, and the film never explicitly says this, but I feel like that's his sister, and I don't know why I want to say that.
I didn't get that impression because I don't feel like I saw him like hug her or anything on Reunion.
Ah, okay.
But who knows?
All right.
But anyway, their relationship, God, right from the start, first of all, their fight scenes were awesome. Mm-hmm. I really love their fight scenes. They're very Tony Jaa-esque. I don't know if he choreographed his own stuff or if he does that himself all the time, but like you could feel the Tony Jaa in them. And I feel like Mila was also doing Tony Jaa style.
She kind of matched his style a little bit.
Yeah, not to an extreme, like not like two Tony Jaas, but like a lot of leg sweeps.
Yeah.
A lot of lifting the leg to avoid leg sweeps.
Yeah.
Leg sweeps are high.
Yeah, she was doing like he was doing like some more Muay Thai, which is his style, and she was doing a little more like Judo, Krav, a little bit more military CQC type of stuff. But like it was a fun match with one another. And kudos to Mila as well, because Tony Jaa is an acclaimed martial artist, world-class fighter, one of those people who you hold them in the stratus of fighters / stunt performers who can handle
like
their own.
Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Tony Jaa in my mind, like Jet Li.
Absolutely.
All up there.
And Mila Jovovich, while she's always fucking rocked, she is not a world-class martial artist. Like, she is a cool action star, but she is a cool action star from the 90s and 2000s when action stars didn't try to do your Keanu Reeves, John Wick, Tom Cruise breaking his own leg and keep running, Halle Berry breaking a rib and continuing a fight scene type of their own shit. Like, Mila is a supermodel action star from the 90s who steps up to Tony Jaa and really brings it in these scenes.
I mean, I don't know if in the 90s and 2000s she didn't work hard, but I feel like for all the action...
I don't mean that. I'm not saying she never worked hard.
But I feel like she did put the work in. But I feel like what's so interesting to me is that for all these action movies I've seen her in, I've never felt like she had a style.
Right.
Despite like so many action movies and like 6 Resident Evils, but I don't feel like Alice has a style of fighting really. It's just like really cool fighting.
Yeah.
And I always feel like she's there and putting the work in. But like this felt like I'm like, oh, this is a style. And it's not quite Tony Jaa, as you said, but like I like that there's a real like impact here. And like I feel like it's a real fight. And like I love that they just had her in these military outfit because like that's obviously what her character would be wearing, but like, you know, they didn't like rip it strategically or like put her in shorts because it was hot. I was like, I love that she's just in a regular Army Ranger outfit this whole
She's not
movie.
glammed up in a single point.
Not at any point. I love the lack of objectification of her. And yeah, these fight scenes, because they fight each other twice, and both scenes are very good. And then they like train each other. Montage. Oh my God. Love a montage.
Love it.
Love a montage.
But she just felt like a sincere, intimidating badass. She felt like a Linda Hamilton in T2, like of being like, oh, do not fuck with this woman. Yeah.
Yeah, she feels like a real person for the first time, which I think I mentioned off the top. Because, like, Alice doesn't feel quite real. Lilo in Fifth Element doesn't feel like a real person. But she's, like, so expressive. And she's a person I feel like I want to hang out with. Like, when she's, like, gets free the first time and she's about to take the sip of water and she's like, ha-ha, I'm going to drink the water. And he spills it. And she's like, you little bitch.
Son of a...
He's so spiteful and he laughs and she gets mad. I can't get over this wonderful dynamic.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. And also just they have charisma and charm together on top of what is scripted and how it plays out, whether it be like the moments with the water or how it's choreographed, whether it be the fight style. These are two actors who sincerely have a spark together on screen where it's not even just these roles. If they were doing another different franchise or movie together, I want to see them work together in another capacity to see if this carries over. It's that type of X factor spark and charm to it.
The charm, the spark, and like the joy, the way they laugh when they have a big laugh and the comfortableness they have with each other makes me truly believe that they were having an incredible time on set. And these two actually became very close and like genuinely got along incredibly well.
Yeah.
And like you can feel it through the screen. It is, it's one of the most instant friendships I've ever seen. It is like Poe Finn, not that instant because Poe Finn in the first movie were like instant friends, but they like the strength of it.
Right, that like animosity brings us together a little bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But then like we laugh together and we get each other quickly, like baked chocolate. It's
and not speaking the same language. It's a little bit like Jen and Michael, I believe, were the characters' names on Lost as well, who had that. And I feel like there are some other key examples of that. We don't speak the same language, animosity. Let's work together to escape something, but it's escaping me at the moment. I feel like it is very much that episode of Mandalorian, which like not really, but light spoilers, I guess, for a season 2 episode of Mandalorian where he has to fight a sand monster, and not everyone speaks the same language, and they're a little bit angry at one another, but they all have to work together.
And he's translating for everyone, which doesn't really happen here. Oh, I guess Ron Perlman by the end can translate for everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good story that I've never seen without subtitles.
Yeah.
Because there's normally like a translator, like so, even if no one speaks the same thing. Like we checked 4 times because we knew this was a movie about people who can't communicate together. So we were like, there's no subtitle track. We must have a bad like copy. What's going on? There has to be subtitles. But as you watch, you're like, oh no, like Mila's the POV character and she can't understand.
Yeah.
So we just work with it.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel like, oh, you could make a friend.
And there are also misunderstandings that add more to the charm of it. Like the fact that she describes chocolate and then he refers to all food as chocolate. Like everything you consume is chocolate. And she doesn't bother to correct him. And something about that feels so real and lived in. And it feels like, oh, she's definitely experiencing the same thing.
Yeah,
like the
she's
couple
saying
words
the
she
words
figures
wrong.
out, she is not right, but is not right at the same time.
Definitely. She's definitely calling all the monsters Diablos, and that's definitely only the sand monster or something like that.
Right.
And I, if someone doesn't know the game, have no idea which is the right. If they're all Diablos or if just the sand monster is a Diablos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe they might be the names of the creatures from the game, but
makes sense.
it seems like that's something that they would do. But other than that, there's definitely miscommunications here, but in charming ways where they let it go and they're like, yeah, that's close enough. You know, alcohol is just chocolate when they're drinking what I'm sure is just some
Death.
hard grain alcohol, which is a fun and charming scene as well.
It's very fun and charming. Then they have the montage where she learns how to fight and she gets armor, and like the very cute moment where she's like, "You didn't tell me these blades were magic."
Right. I legit think that one of the downfalls of this movie, because I love this movie, it's so much fun. I really wish that it wasn't based on the video game Monster Hunter.
If it was just its own new thing.
Yeah,
because it doesn't need to be at all.
I don't think it adds anything. And fans of the video game, hit me up on Twitter and let me know your opinion if you're hardcore into the video game. If you're like, they completely screwed this up or they actually kind of got it charming and right. It's rare for me to be like, actually hit me up on Twitter and let me know. But
yeah, you pretty much never want.
I pretty much never want to be hit up. But I'm curious.
After Tenet, people unfollowed us. They're like, well, they don't want to speak
Oh,
to
yeah,
us.
still never talk to me about Tenet. Do not talk to me and my child ever again about Tenet. But with this, I think the movie does not benefit in any regard. It obviously benefits from simple things like creature design and character design. So I do know that at a glance, a couple of the monsters were ones that I recognized from having seen on streams or YouTube videos of the game. And it is clever, smart, and well-designed creature design. So they do benefit from that. They don't have to start from scratch for creature design.
And like weapons as well?
And some of the weapons as well. But the weapons, it's a big sword and a grappling hook. Like, we're not reinventing the wheel here.
It's not
Monster
nothing
design
you've
is
never
definitely a bigger and more elaborate thing to be like, what does it look like? How does it move? What's its size and weakness? There's a lot more to that, I think, than what if sword but big. So it benefits from some creature and character design, but I don't think it really benefits in any way from the lore and mythos. Like in the game, there's no dimension gateways between normal Earth and monster Earth. There's none of this shit. Like, this could easily just be they never mention Monster Hunter. Mila Jovovich is an army person. It jumps over. Who cares? And then it costs half the money because you're not paying for an intellectual property, and probably makes more money because I feel like it being based on a video game, if you're not a fan of that video game, it actually kind of
Turns you off.
discourages audiences from seeing it.
Yeah, because video game movies traditionally are not good.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we've enjoyed a few of them in our day. Mortal Kombat is obviously incredible. Sonic's pretty good. But, like, to the general audience, they're like, oh, a video game movie? No.
Yeah.
But if you're just like, this is a cool monster movie, and it's... I mean, Hollywood's just really scared of new IP now. Everything has to be based on something. But you're right. It's nothing is built off the fact that it's based on a video game. There's no health. There's no, from what I could tell, no tricks from the fighting style in the game.
Right.
Because that's one of my favorite things in this movie is how they kill the monsters. It's so clever and so elaborate.
I think they do base that to a certain degree with like the monsters' weaknesses of the games
Okay.
and some of the fighting styles.
Probably
of the
none of the
characters
things
and
with the
types, but-
bullets.
There is a character that just has a gun.
What?
Yeah, it's a whole. There is a gun character.
There's a cat chef. There's a gun character.
Yeah. It is a weird IP where they're like, we do have a cat chef and gun. So it is a little strange.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's a gun. All right, well, then maybe it's all from the thing. But yeah, throwing bullets onto an on-fire scorpion.
That was fun.
That's
not a game thing.
Funny.
Yeah.
But like so clever, and you're like, this shouldn't work. You're gonna get shot by bullets, Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
The bullets don't just go down. But yeah, and then, oh my God, the way they took out the Diablos blew my mind. Getting the stinger, the paralyzing stinger from the other monster, and like like having to like do surgery to it, because I was like, oh, they're just gonna stick it on the end of a spear, but he's like, no, we're gonna do this right. We're gonna wrap it around a spear via the guts.
Yeah, make an arrow out of it, shoot it right in the eye. The Diablos like blurry POV vision shot as well. That was really creepy. Both of them working together, the combination of like, we need to stun it to hit it with the rocket launcher. That's some really fun video game shit right there. A classic combo move.
And coming up with a plan when you can't communicate. Oh my God. I absolutely adored this. Yeah, every monster they killed had such a good time.
But I really think that if this wasn't called Monster Hunter, this would be obviously not a huge success because it's still coming out in a pandemic and cost a reasonable amount, but it would cost a bit less. And I could see this being a sleeper hit for a creature movie. Like this, if it was just the monster movie of any other name, be a Tremors or a Pitch Black or something where people are like,
great monster movies not based on anything. Predator.
Yeah, not based on anything that, and Predator, even though that was a big blockbuster thing, but Pitch Black or Tremors just kind of blew up on their own merit. I think it could have been that, but I don't think it ever will because of the Monster Hunter name.
Yeah, I don't think it will either, unless we can make it happen.
Yeah.
Listeners, it's up to you. Watch this movie. It's very fun. And when we will be the ones who championed the Monster Hunter cult classic.
Well, shall we go into like the end of this movie a little bit?
Right before the end,
yes,
I would like to talk about a trope I hate. It's a very brief trope, and every movie does this. This is not this movie's trope.
I'm curious.
It is when...
This is Trope... I feel like it's been a while since we visited Trope... I don't even remember what we called Trope Corner.
Trope Corner.
Was it Trope Corner?
Trope Corner.
All right.
It's just called Trope Corner.
I think we had a theme song at one point. We were like, Trope Corner, where the tropes corner.
Come to die. Well, that's a new one, where the tropes come to die. Every character in every movie will do this, but I hate it. I hate when a character knows they don't need something anymore for no reason. So I'm speaking specifically of the survival tent.
Oh, yes.
So she grabs this survival tent because a big storm is coming and Tony Jaa's unconscious, and she puts them inside it. And they definitely only survive because they had this tent.
Absolutely.
It keeps the sand out so they can breathe. It keeps them warm.
It fulfills its title. It's the survival tent.
It's a survival tent, and it was in a tiny little bag. So easy to move. So practical. So Tony Jaa wakes up, and he's like, oh, I'm alive now, and I'm fine. And they still have like half a desert to cross, and they just...
And another sandstorm potentially coming at them.
They don't know when sandstorms come.
No, it's chaos.
They don't have a weatherman going on here. Joe Moravsky's not around. That's for me.
That's just for Diana.
That's just for me. And they leave the survival tent and some of the medical gear.
Yeah.
A very scarce item in this world, for sure. Our world medical stuff. And they just leave it there because they're like, we don't need that again in the plot. I'm like, you don't know that.
Because
you don't know that, Mila and Tony.
Before we have to camp again, we will be rescued. No, you don't. No,
the
what?
The screenwriter knows that.
Yeah.
You don't know that. Pick up that survival tent, roll it into a little tight ball like it was before.
Yeah. And we don't need to see all of it, but if that scene had just cut away with her bending over to grab something.
That's all I need.
Done.
I need to know you didn't leave that very important piece of survival equipment just out there.
But they do show them, they unzip, they get out, and they just start marching to their death.
Like they hate it. Like they're like, fuck you, survival tent.
We
gotta get this out of here.
Or the tent's a single use tent or
Not
something.
How tents work.
Which is, yeah. Jess, all right, I'm fully on board with this.
A trope I hate. Characters knowing they don't need something again for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. That is also, that's bad.
All right, and that's all I had to say before we get to the end.
So they've been rescued by Ron Perlman and company, who's barely recognizable as Ron Perlman until he has like a few sentences.
We both thought they hired a Ron Perlman lookalike.
Impersonator.
Like when we talk about poor man's Tom Hardy, we're like, oh, they got a poor man's Ron Perlman. And then we're like, oh, no, shit, that's Ron Perlman.
Real ass Ron Perlman. And they're like, we got to get to the tower to shut down the dimensional portals because it's destabilizing our planets. Mm-hmm. Pretty late for this lore and mythos to be thrown in, but okay.
But he also admits he doesn't know. He's an investigative team. He's like, we're trying to figure it out. Yeah. So I like that there's just no knowledge for sure.
So they're going there. They need to fight a dragon. They start fighting a dragon, and then Mila Jovovich is sent right back to Earth.
With like no preamble.
None.
Not like, do I leave then go home, or do I stay and help kill this
No
dragon?
moral quandary.
No moral quandary, and no, like, people watch her fall. Like, Tony Jaa isn't like, oh no, my friend, or like, really just out of nowhere falls off this cliff.
Yeah, there's no like her being like, I would like to continue helping you, but I have to get home, and him like Tony Jaa having the little like or like the little statues that represent family, and like he gives her one, be like, find family or whatever. Like a nice moment. The third act of this movie is probably the most video game movie ass section of it, where it's all kind of meaningless and it is just moments without any real purpose.
Yeah, it loses all the charm that, like, not just because Tony and Mila are now separated, but like it loses all the enjoyment of the film. This is really just an entire sequence so you can see a dragon fuck up some planes, which is like dope in its own way. And that's pretty cool.
And it is kind of funny that Mila Jovovich's character gets home to Earth for like a minute. Like mid-battle, she's like, maybe I won on that other planet a minute. And a fucking dragon comes through. And they're like, oh no. And then they beat it. And then a second dragon comes through. That is hilarious.
I didn't really like that much.
I'm not saying I like it. I think it's funny.
It's funny. It's funny in its own regard. What I think is more funny is the idea that Mila Jovovich and Tony Jaa, with their hand weapons, just a couple blades, can take out a dragon when like 3 platoons and 2 helicopters and a giant jet could not. Like, this was so much army. Yeah. There was a tank. There were
many tanks. Many tanks.
But what you needed was a grappling hook and a tiny little sword.
Well, they knew, you see, that it was vulnerable right before it breathes fire.
Now, you can be vulnerable before you breathe fire and still die when a tank shoots you.
Yes.
There's levels to this. When you're on a world where you've only got hand weapons, you need to know about the vulnerabilities. But when you got a tank, you just shoot dragons.
Well, and there are planes shooting bullets at it using a Gatling gun, which fires like 1,000 rounds a second.
That's crazy.
And they're like, I guess we missed it in that many seconds before it, as it like builds up. Be like, no, it was getting hit by bullets every single second of its existence, including the seconds building up to its attack.
Mm-hmm. But that tells me that must be real vulnerable then.
Really vulnerable.
So it goes from completely invulnerable.
Although Mila gets it right in the throat, right in that moment.
It is a good shot.
Yeah. And that like explosion that bounces back into its belly, like the way it cascades is a very good visual effect.
Yeah, I did like him dying was really cool. I mean, he has to die twice because Tony Jaa comes and he shoots him like in the hole in his neck that she's made. Like, she makes a pretty good dent, and then there's a bigger hole where he's like, oh, that's a good target.
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish this guy off.
It's a fun segment. It's a fun fight, even though it's kind of dumb and unmotivated, and it's on Earth now, and I guess
it's dumb and unmotivated, and it is just surprising when the movie has been so good about relationship building and like moment building and like saving each other from monsters and working together, that she just falls off a cliff alone, and she's not trying to save Tony or Ron Perlman, and she's not trying to sacrifice play.
Yeah.
She really does just fall off a cliff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a movie of relationships, and then in the end, it's just a series of events.
It's just fighting a dragon. Yeah. Once it's about fighting a dragon, it's just about fighting a dragon.
Yeah.
So I didn't love this ending for a movie that I enjoyed so highly.
And to talk about ending, how do you feel about the very bold decision to just end? It just ends. Not even a semblance of like, oh, some satisfaction. We're aiming for a sequel. They end mid-action scene. Like, a second dragon shows up, and they're like, well, we're not done.
I don't like this at all. Because there was no satisfaction, and I know we just saw them kill a dragon. I have no faith they can kill a second dragon.
None at all. They're fucked.
They're tired now. They got 2 lucky shots in on an invulnerable dragon. This isn't one of those ones where like, now we're really good at it, let's cut away. I'm like, no, I sincerely don't think you can beat a second one. We need to not just stop here. This isn't like, and there's no break, because I feel like what they wanted was the end of Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
You win Mortal Kombat and you're all happy and you're like, we're rested now. We did it. We're happy. And then it's like, Mortal Kombat's not over. And like that is like, there could be a second one. There couldn't be, but you won Mortal Kombat.
There's a resolution.
There's
you
a
won
resolution.
the combat, and there will be more combat.
Yes, but this movie is you beat a dragon, did nothing with the tower, did nothing with the portals, didn't figure any of that out. Here's a second dragon, still haven't gone to the portals, still haven't gone to the Sky Tower. I don't even know if Ron Perlman's people are still alive. What's going on over there?
It would be like if Mortal Kombat ended when Johnny Cage beats Goro. And they're like, we did it. And we're like, well, no, there's still Shang Tsung's still there.
We didn't beat the guy who eats the souls.
We didn't get anywhere near the end of the entire plot that you set up for this movie.
There's 3 more brackets in this playoff pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many more brackets.
Yeah. It is wild.
It's wild that it ends so abruptly for a movie that had built so wonderfully.
To the point that it makes me wonder. I feel like part of it must be that they intended at the very least on making a sequel or making multiples of these. But with its release date being bumped up to an earlier date, which is very strange in most times, let alone a pandemic, it does make me wonder if they weren't done filming and it just reached a point where they were like, fuck it, we're done.
That doesn't seem right, though, because the movie looks so good.
Yeah?
Like, you don't bump a movie up when you're like, we didn't finish physical filming, but man, the graphics look incredible. That's weird.
Maybe.
I mean, I'd have to check when they were filming.
Yeah,
but
it feels incomplete, though, in a way that's hard to justify without blaming the world.
It is easy to blame the world, but I also, like, as much as we are saying this is Paul W.S. Anderson's best work, he is not the most elaborate filmmaker.
Yeah.
He does make some cookie-cutter action things. Like, the
fair.
end of this movie feels like his other movies.
Right.
Like, it feels like, oh, okay, you just action, fun things, meal is cool.
And you just stop.
You just stopped.
And
you were real good, and then you just stopped.
Yeah, and all of the Resident Evil movies did that too, where it would be like bananas plot twist in the last second and be like,
they did
oh,
love
by the
that.
way, did you know that our lead character is a clone? And you'd be like, what? And then they just end. Like, I guess. But at least there'd be a semblance of cluing up some kind of a plot line.
Yeah, there's just nothing here. Like, they can't even decide if Mila's going to stay or go.
Yeah. Or what planet this is going to exist on as a franchise.
Yeah, because Ron Perlman and Tony Jaa might stay on this side.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, weird.
It is weird.
Weird way to end it. Very unsatisfactory, but still a very fun movie that slaps.
Still so fun. I have to say one quick thing about Ron Perlman.
Sure.
I absolutely love that this man, I think Ron Perlman's great. He's a wonderful actor. Love him to death. I love that he will not try to do any kind of accent whatsoever. Because we meet Ron Perlman's character, and he's like, hey, I'm Ron Perlman, and I speak perfect English. I'm like, oh, you're one of the English guys who came through. You must be one of the soldiers.
You're like an old Marine.
You are crisp English. Like, your English is better than Mila Jovovich's crisp English. He's like, no, I'm from here. I just learned English from one of the people who came through. And I'm like, you learned this English? No semblance of an accent of whatever your language on this planet is? Like, he was just like, I don't give a shit where my character's from. I'm straight English.
And you haven't spoken English in what I presume to be years, if not decades, as well. And you're flawless back into it.
Because the other guys who came through were killed right away.
Yeah.
So when was the last time you even talked English? And you learned the word for lava? Like, he knows all the deep cut words.
Yeah. There were some deep cut words.
Like, there are some main words, and then there are deep cut words.
Yeah. I think at one point he's like, if we can get the dragon in the throat, it'll cause a retroactive implosion. And I'm like, you didn't learn. Fuck you. You knew Earth humans for one day, and you learned retroactive implosion?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Ron Perlman needed to be from Earth and got stuck there if he refuses to do an accent or any kind of work on, like, I also speak the other language. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Love you, Ron Perlman. Never change.
Sincerely never change. This is one of those, like, it is so dumb, but fuck it. You've got to accept it when you're dealing with Ron Perlman.
That's what you got to do. If you want to hire Ron Perlman, you're getting Ron Perlman.
You're getting Ron Perlman's going to show up on set and say the words.
In English.
In English, no matter how complicated they are or what planet his character is from.
He definitely said implosion.
There was some complicated shit he said, and he said it smoothly.
Oh, shit.
The movie slaps. No
Let's
regrets. No regrets.
I'd watch it again.
I'll definitely watch if they make a second one of these. Who knows? It was a huge failure. Was it the film's fault? Not really, because world. But if they do, for whatever bananas reason, make another one of these, I would see it. Yeah, and also they made like 9 Resident Evil movies. Paul W.S. Anderson and Milla Jovovich just can make whatever they want.
They're real good at getting funding for the movies they want to make.
They really are. They really are. All right, well, I think that's going to be it then for Monster Hunter. We're going to ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we've discussed everything, what would you change about this movie if you could change anything? But before we do ask that final question, we want to take a little break to thank our third and final sponsor of today's episode. They are Manscaped.
Manscaped. Speaking of things that are smooth, like this movie.
Smooth? Balls. Make your balls smooth, like this movie. Manscaped specialize in products to make sure you're walking around town with your best downstairs. You want to be comfortable, you want to be clean shaven, you want to be doing your best, and Manscaped is there to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience, offering precision engineered tools for your family jewels. And that rhymes, so it should be easy to remember, and that makes it more true.
That's how you know it's a good product, when things rhyme. They have the Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer. It's the best hygiene tool for the modern man. It's got ceramic blades, advanced skin-safe technology. You're not going to snag yourself, and you do not want to. You want to be clean-shaven down there. You want your downstairs region to feel good, feel smooth, but you want to be safe, and you are going to be so safe. The trimmer's waterproof. You can use it in the shower, which is so fun.
Trim your balls right in the shower.
And you got it, like, the water helps.
The water, and less cleanup, too. You know, you don't... Yeah. We all had that, like, college roommate who was just, like, trimming their balls and general pubic area in the wild of the bathroom.
Yeah, and then
you
they,
don't
like, kind of sweep it up after, but you're like, oh, no. It's been on the floor.
Don't be that scene from Harold and Kumar. Don't be that. Use the lawnmower. Yeah, completely waterproof. It has a little light on it as well, which helps you see what you're doing.
And then
take it right into the shower. No cleanup.
And you also just got a little light then.
Then you just got a little light in case there's a power outage. You're set there. You can also get their weed whacker, which is their ear and nose hair trimmer, which is fantastic. Also, it's very safe to use. I know it's a little bit intimidating to try to get something like in a crevice, like the nose or ears, and the weed whacker is perfect for it. It's got this little like safety head, so you're not going to nick yourself. It's a very cool design.
It's very cool. I trim with a scissors before this, and I've always been safe but scared, and now I am no longer scared.
Yes.
Like not being scared.
Yeah, you don't want to be scared. You just want the best tools for the job, no matter what it is that you're doing. And they have so many other accoutrements over at Manscaped. They've got Crop Preserver, which is anti-chafing ball deodorant. They've got Reviver, which is a spray-on toner. They have their own comfortable boxer briefs, travel bags. They've got a lot going on, and what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to get 20% off and free shipping with promo code TFS at Manscaped.com. So get 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and just use promo code TFS. 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use promo code TFS. And thank you, Manscaped, for making our winter wieners look good. You're doing the thing, Manscaped.
You did it, Manscaped. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the support, Manscaped. And as well, if you want to support this podcast, a couple free ways to do it. All you got to do, subscribe, rate, review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. You hear every podcast tell you to do is do the dang thing. It takes a minute. You love us. Do it for us.
Support us. Help us out. Leave us a review. We're going to read it. We're going to feel great. We're going to love ourselves. We're going to love you.
Yeah. When I need a little pick-me-up, I read those reviews. And also, we don't have an advertising budget for this show, so those reviews are some of the best ways that we get recommended by these algorithms to new listeners. Or you can tweet about the show, tell your friends about it. Word of mouth goes a long way. And if you want to support the show monetarily, you can check us out over on patreon.com/FromSuperheroes. Yeah, Patreon.
Tell me about Patreon, huh?
It's a monthly support system where you can check out the online content creators you know and love, like us, get cool bonuses. Just come get cool bonuses.
Like us?
Like us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, just come get cool bonuses over at Patreon. You're going to get something no matter what your level is. So you can give as little as $1 a month or as much as you can afford. Don't worry about what's in your budget. I know $1 might seem silly and small. do it. Those really add up and help us keep the lights on and make this our full-time job and help us expand the network and get new gear and equipment and pay our domain fees and hosting fees and just all the overhead stuff.
All the fees.
A lot of fees.
But yeah, the $1 absolutely adds up. I think of the $1 as I think of like voting. Everyone has to do it, and then it makes a mess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to do it,
but you don't have to do it, but it all adds up into a mess.
Yeah.
If you did it, it makes a mess.
Yeah, it really helps out. So give what you can, and depending on your level, like $1 will get you our webcomic a day early. There's bonuses at a bunch of different levels. At the $10 hero level, you get a bonus episode of this podcast every single month. This month, on a Mila Jovovich tip, we did Fifth Element over on our Patreon page.
And yet again, another banger.
Exclusive to the Patreon channel. And when you sign up, you get immediate access to the back catalog. There's no contracts. You're not locked in. If you can afford $10 this month, hit us up this month for $10. If you can't afford that next month, change it. If you can't afford it but you want a discount, you can go yearly where you get 1 month free and you can just pay for a year up front. Whatever it is that you're feeling, whatever your budget is, we appreciate all of you at whatever level you can bring to the table. So head on over to patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That's patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. We appreciate all of you patrons. We appreciate all of you who are considering. And if it's not on the budget, we understand. But if you can do it, you're absolutely lovely.
Well, don't worry about it if it's not.
You're still lovely, too.
We're chill.
You're still lovely, too.
You're all great.
You're all doing terrific. And now let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? Diana, what would you change?
I'm a big softie, and I don't want to lose Mila Jovovich's team. She can lose like 2 of them, because I think there's 5 of them altogether.
Okay.
So she can lose like 2 of them, because I thought they were setting up something really brilliant when they had her get paralyzed, and they leave her behind because they think she's dead. So I thought, because like that means they're still nice people. They're like, we were going to save her, but we think she's dead. And I thought she was just going to wake up alone. And then either they come back at the end or they could come back in a sequel since you obviously thought you were getting a second one. Like, we don't have to see them die. Because I think it was T.I. and 2 people were still left alive when she got paralyzed.
Yeah.
So it's such a great way to be like, oh, we're so sorry, but we're going to go survive. We got to leave her behind. We think she's dead. So I would love if they had just taken off and we never see them die. I like that. Like, I don't know. I think if they did that, I would almost be mad about it. But now that I know that I love these people, I do want the idea that maybe they're out there. Maybe they made it. And if Mila is the POV character, that's fine. That we never find out, like, if they made it or if they come back. So they could come back at the end and, like, they could all go through together, or they can come back in a sequel and be like, oh my God, you guys made it. That's incredible. I think that would be my big change. And I'd change the ending. They'd get to the tower and stuff, and she'd be like, I'm going or I'm not. I don't know, but you'd get to the fucking tower. But yeah, I thought they were setting up something so brilliant with paralyzed but not dead. Her team thinks they're dead.
Yeah, because her team is captured, air quote, like captured, and like T.I. gets like eggs put in him and shit. But that happens like off camera. We just fade to black, and then 3 team members are gone. There
was no reason for her to get paralyzed and be left behind, because then the Scorpion just takes her to where the rest of the team is. There was none of that was needed.
They could have all been captured at the same time. They could have all
been captured together, or she could have just not known what happened to them. So that was a weird incongruity where I thought they were being really clever about getting the team out of here but not looking like jerks. So that would be my change. I want to see if these guys can survive in the desert. At least T.I. At least T.I. So that's my big change. Andrew, what would you change?
I absolutely love that. That is brilliant. I hadn't thought about that perspective, and now it's all I can think about, and I want to piggyback on that idea.
Oh, take it.
Right away, is that her team comes back at the end of the movie with his team. Like, they've met up off screen.
Oh, shit!
They're on Ron Perlman's boat.
Both teams.
Yeah. And Ron Perlman comes back because like they thought they lost Tony Jaa. But her team that survived and made it off
thought they lost her.
But they tell Ron Perlman, they're like, there was a dude with an arrow surviving on the rocks. And he's like, holy shit. He set off like a red smoke bomb. He like, that's his flare. They go back for Jaa as the team goes back to see if they've got her. So we've got 2 teams coming together to rescue the people they've left behind. And then they all unite for one final battle.
Love this. Love it. Love it, love it. A few of them still have to die because there has to be stakes.
Oh yeah.
And there has to be some gory, cool deaths.
Oh, the guy who throws the grenades or whatever, like that's done.
Still dies.
But at least those 3 that when we fade away, they're still alive, and they sadly, and they're like really upset. Like T.I. doesn't want to give up on Mila. She has no pulse, but they're like, we gotta
CPR,
go.
We gotta do it. But yeah, if they find out she's alive, that scene would be like a reunion scene. I'm tearing up just thinking about it.
That would be a great ending for this movie. The teams have united together.
Mm-hmm. And then I feel like the ending would be the team goes home and she stays.
Yeah.
She has to get her team home then.
Yes.
But she's going to stay and fight dragons.
Yeah.
Because she loves Tony Jaa.
Maybe
I love
there's
this.
a love there? Yeah,
like
but
a platonic.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
Or it
like,
has to be closed from one side or something.
Something like that. One of those bullshit things.
One of those typical things that she's the leader. She sends them back.
I love this. I want this so much now. Yes, they're on the boat.
Yeah.
They got away.
Yeah. And like the whole theme of this movie is kind of like learning from one another and an unlikely friendship and mutual respect and learning even when you don't understand. And if her team continued that theme, it would be, I think, brilliant and really solidify it for the whole movie.
Oh, I love this. I think this was such a good piggyback on each other. Good teamwork, babe.
Really good. I can't even remember what my original change was going to be. I blacked out once you said your thing, and I'm like, well, that's it. We're rewriting that movie.
We're changing the end. We're getting this team together. We're getting the team back together.
We gotta get the team back together. All right, well, that's brilliant. We fixed it.
We did it.
We'll watch another one of these if he makes it.
Oh, man. I'll watch this one again, but I will also watch a sequel so hard and so fast.
Yeah, this had the right level. This made me want to rewatch all 100 of the Resident Evil movies.
Yeah, they're fun.
They're fun. Yeah, they might be a fun afternoon watch. Like, while exercising or something like that. Like a fun little background rewatch. Well, that's going to be it for this week. Next week,
oh my God, what are we doing?
We're going to be back talking about WandaVision.
The entire first season. It's going to be over.
Yeah.
We're going to go over all of this craziness, guys.
Yes. And,
buckle in.
And whenever we do a new thing, we always give a spoiler warning. I'm giving a week advance spoiler warning. But to be fair, if you've downloaded this podcast, it means you've existed online the past several weeks, which means that there's no way you existed in a vacuum of not having certain episodes and aspects of WandaVision spoiled for you. But next week, WandaVision, there'll be spoilers. We'll be talking about it.
Spoilers ahoy, but also fun.
Also fun. Definitely fun ahoy.
It'll be fun.
Oh, fun ahoy.
Fun ahoy.
With spoilers.
With spoilers.
It's all ahoy.
Except for the spoiler-free review at the beginning, probably.
We'll hit you with that. So we'll be back next week with that. In the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, you can reach me on Twitter at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can reach me at Words of Diana.
And you can reach both of us at From Superheroes, and we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.